Call the select board meeting for March 24th to order at 7:03. Please go ahead. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Go over the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for March 24th, 2025.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? You want to add the trails
Yes, please.
conversation? What would you like to add there?
After the Tyler Technologies,
Okay. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Need to approve the minutes for March 10th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for March 10th, 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. On page 3. Down under certificate of highway mileage. This is made a motion, doesn't say who. Seconded, doesn't say who. On the last page, Art Steele made a motion to go into executive session and he also seconded it.
I was taking care of business.
Rob? That's no reflection on Allison, because that's the one that recording stopped. So she sent it to me. That was my job to plug those in there. So if they're screwed up, it's not Allison, it's mine.
But you can check the recording.
I can check the recording. Or no, I can't check the recording. I can check my.
I seconded
Your
it.
notes.
You seconded? Look at that. Is that for the executive session one?
Yes.
Anything else, Mary Lee?
No, that's all I have.
Anybody have anything else?
I did.
Go ahead.
On the planning commission, page 3, planning commission to present unified development regulations. Fourth line down, Karen Oakman explained the next steps in the process. There's a bunch of just grammar stuff that's wrong there. Quotation marks and that. And then on page 4, on the Department of Liquor Control approvals, for the first one, I recused myself from the lake house vote. So it would have been 4-0. That's all I had.
Anything else?
Yeah, on page 4, under the Rutland County Solid Waste District appointments, I don't believe I voted for that. There should be 4-0. I should have abstained. If I didn't, I need to. I didn't vote for myself. You follow what I'm saying? In the second line down?
Yeah.
All voted in favor. I don't believe that's correct.
I'll have to see if there's a recording on that part. 'Cause otherwise it's gonna be from memory because there's no.
Right.
Do you believe you refused yourself?
Yeah, I should have.
You can get yourself.
There's actually no conflict there. You could have voted for yourself.
Yeah. Well, not a big deal if you don't change it though.
I'll check it, see if it's there.
Okay.
There's no ethical conflict there.
Yeah, that's true.
You're volunteering to do a service.
Yeah, yeah.
Just so that's on the record, it was $20,000 a year, right?
Yeah. That I owe them, right?
Anything else on the minutes? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Citizens' comments, items not on the agenda.
Hi, everybody.
Jennifer, you gotta tell us who you are and where you live.
I've got it right at the top of mine. I am
Okay,
very prepared.
no, it's for this recording.
Yes,
Don't be shy.
I'm not going to be shy. So my name is Jennifer Larson and I am a Castleton resident of 52 years. I have lived on Carter Lane, just off of Blissville Road, for over 27 years. I'm here tonight alongside my Blissville neighbors, not as their spokesperson, but as a fellow resident who shares their concerns. The thoughts I'm about to express are my own, but they do reflect conversations that we have all been having for years. So if I may, I think I want to just take a head count. So if you're a Blissville person here, if you could raise your hand so we could get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 11. So 11, 12. Thank you. So 11, 12 people here for this meeting. So I understand tonight is not a debate, but rather an opportunity for commentary. So I simply want to share what life has become for those of us living on or around Blissville Road. When I first moved into my home in 1997, Blissville Road was what I would like to call a true walking road. Whether you were out for a run, pushing a stroller, biking with children, or walking your dog, you felt safe. The majority of drivers were local, residents of Blissville, Rice Willis, or River Street, so there was an unspoken understanding between drivers and pedestrians. Even without a sidewalk or a shoulder, we felt comfortable because traffic was light and local. Fast forward 28 years, and everything has changed. Since Rice Willis Road was paved, Blissville Road has seen a dramatic increase in vehicle traffic, while pedestrian traffic has all but disappeared, albeit for a few faithful walkers and runners. Where we once had a neighborhood road, we now have a busy cut through. Before it was paved, Rice Willis was not exactly a road of choice. It was a mess no matter what season. Honestly, I think there was one day in the fall where it was like perfect. But other than that, it was either too icy, too dusty, too mud-ridden, all of it. Now it's a smooth shortcut from Fairhaven to Route 30 and the college, which means more and more cars are feeding onto Blissville Road and River Street to access it. Some might say, oh, well, so you can't walk in your road anymore. Too bad. But the problem isn't just that we've lost a walkable street. Driving and living on Blissville Road has become hazardous. Traffic is heavier, and while some drivers follow the speed limit, some do not. Last summer, motorcycles and cars spent weekends drag racing, for lack of a better word, up and down the newly paved road, weaving between both lanes. There is one motorcyclist whom we all know and love, who shall remain nameless, but is without a doubt a menace on Blissville Road and beyond. Even with increased patrolling, Blissville Four Corners remains one of Castleton's busiest and I would dare say most dangerous intersections. In 27 years, I've personally seen dozens of accidents at that crossroad. Drivers routinely either blow through the stop signs on Rice Willis and River, or they assume it's a four-way stop. And just last week, a tractor trailer loaded with slate pulled out of Rice Willis directly into the path of a southbound car on Blissville Road, likely because the driver of the tractor trailer thought it was a four-way stop. And this happens all the time. A simple, cost-effective fix: add a sign below the stop signs on the pole on Rice and River that would say, "Cross traffic does not stop." These signs are easily found online. I found them for under $50. You guys have your own vendors. It could make a real difference in preventing confusion and close calls. But traffic isn't our only concern these days. The mood on Blissville has shifted. This winter alone, we've had cars stolen right from driveways, taken for joyrides, trashed and abandoned around town. We've heard rumors of break-ins. A few months ago, a motorcyclist going way too fast collided head-on with a car near David Avenue. Miraculously, he survived. Summers are worse, with drivers openly testing how fast they can go before hitting the hill by Alexander's house. And most recently, a high school student was chased while jogging on Blissville Road. And that might not be illegal, but is undeniably terrifying, not only for the family, but for all of us who live there. For a small town and a small road, that's a lot. Some don't feel safe anymore. While we formed a neighborhood text group to keep an eye on one another, there is growing frustration. The speeding, the dangerous intersection, the inability to walk safely, the thefts, and now we have to worry about being chased on Blissville Road. I'll be honest, I never attended a meeting before because I wasn't sure if speaking up would really make a difference. But I recently reached out to Selectman Brown to ask if bringing this to you was even worth it. And at his urging, I've decided that it is. So here I am, and here we are. Was this past winter in Blissville just a fluke? Maybe. But after speaking with Justin Shareko, he has expressed interest in meeting with our group to hear our concerns. And I believe that this situation, at the very least, warrants a discussion. We know there's no overnight fix, but I hope that we can all work together to find a solution. Thanks for your time.
Any comments from the board?
I would like to respond. What was your name? First, I want to say that on behalf of the board, we're really glad that you came in. You know, we're public servants and we want to make sure that we do everything we can for the citizens of the community. You know, we're residents as well. Obviously, I live on Blissville Road, but you know, we all face the same type of things around town. So we can't fix what we don't know about. I know that Justin, Officer Surgenko, am I saying that correctly? Shareko. I know he's been in touch with you. You know, he does an outstanding job for the community. And he's a very caring and compassionate person. I've had several conversations with him. I know everyone on the board has talked to him about this. And I know he's scheduling a meeting to hear your concerns and come up with some solutions that he's going to come back to the board with. I can also reassure you, the chief is here. You know, since some of the problems that were going on in town, you know, the police moved their hours around. We had what, 20-hour coverage in Castleton?
Yeah, till 0400.
So, you know, the bad guys figured that out and that's when the problems were. So he doesn't want to discuss what the changes in schedule are because obviously the bad guys shouldn't be told that. But I'm sure you noticed there was a sharp reduction in problems. And you all know that there was an incident on Rice Willis Road last week. And when the police were called, they were right on Blissville Road and they were at the scene in 2 minutes and made an apprehension. So they're doing a really good job. They're responding to what's happening in the community. They're responding to your concerns and they're going to continue to and meet back with us. And I promise you that we're all going to respond to your concerns as well.
You step up to the podium just so that the Zoom recording can pick you up.
My name's Roger Leduc and I live on 950 Blissville Road. And I can attest, I mean, I walk my dog every day, usually go down Brown Lane, Mary Lane. And I usually go for walks down Rice Willis Road at night by myself. And the other afternoon, I was walking my dog down Mary Lane and this officer pulled up to me. I don't remember her name, young lady. Asked me, you know, who I was, and I told her, and she said that, you know, that they are going to be patrolling more around there and keeping an eye on things, and if we have any problems to call her. And I told her, I said, we really appreciate that because I think up there, we need the presence. The bad guys need to know that there is police around. And I think that's going to make a big difference. On Jen's comment about Rice Willis Road, and I went for a walk tonight about 5 o'clock, and it was just nothing but nonstop traffic. And I've had a couple of times I had to jump over the guy rails because they just will not pull over or slow down. And I have seen people go through the Four Corners a lot because I don't think a lot of people that don't know the road don't know there's a stop sign there. I mean, I've seen them go right through without even stopping. So it is a dangerous intersection. I don't know, maybe a blinking light. I don't know, but or whatever. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Mr. Chairman, if there's nobody there in the crowd, I'd like to say something.
Then I have something to say, but you go first.
Well, I just wanted, for the board, and I will certainly work with the chief. It's a relatively inexpensive, fix to put signs, warning signs, same, intersection ahead or no cross traffic doesn't stop. All that stuff is easy fixes. So, excuse me. So I will work on that and get that stuff taken care of. I'm hearing their concerns, and that's a cheap date to get that stuff done. If it saves somebody's life, it's even more worth it. So we'll take care of the easy stuff first. And the patrols, I commend our police department for stepping up and going 24 hours for a while and getting presence out there. Because since that presence happened, everything's kind of quieted down.
I agree with you.
So it doesn't deter. It's a deterrence. So
What would be the hassle to turn that into a four-way stop?
what's that?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I wanted to address that. So,
That's right.
At one time it was, but
was it a four-way stop?
I'm saying, I thought at one time that was a four-way stop.
Well, let me talk first, Matt. I brought this up about 10 years ago when I first got on the select board about putting a four-way stop on the corner of Blissville and Rice Willis / River Street, and got absolutely no traction at all. So since there is a fairly strong presence of Blissville residents, can I have a show of hands of people who would like to see a four-way stop there? And then people who that live in Blissville who definitely would not like to see a four-way there. Okay,
I guess that answers that.
so what we need to do then is try to add better signage. And now, Matt, if you would step up to the podium, please. What's your name, Matt Brown?
Matt Brown, Blissville. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just here to support Jen and, but I heard about the two-way stop. And I really do think for years I've thought that we should have a little sign that says cross traffic does not stop. Cause you just always see people creeping, and all the time when you go through there, people just go through. And I don't think we need a four-way, but just a cross traffic does not stop. But now that I'm up here, I just want to say I really appreciate the extra patrols. I do think it really helps a lot, and I think we should keep it going, until we catch whoever is doing this stuff. So thank you.
Well, we're gonna make sure that the police don't let anyone know when they're there, and so that they can be, and one time there was an incident, like Mark said, they were right on top of it, and I was really glad to see that.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. Like, we really appreciate it, and it's definitely the right solution.
I know they're actually doing radar on Blissville occasionally as well.
Yeah, so I drive home every day there, and it's been really beneficial. So I really appreciate it. And if we keep it going, it'll
I
definitely.
will confess, I've caught myself speeding on Blissville Road, and
I don't do that.
We all have.
Thank you.
He doesn't stop at stop signs either.
Yeah, of course. I saw you creeping through there.
actually, I do stop at that stop sign every time, and I usually stop about 15 feet back because more than once,
Yeah,
often actually, at least once a month, I almost get hit by somebody coming from the south.
yeah, of
That's
course.
that corner.
Mm.
So,
Thanks, guys.
all right, anything else on the Blissville concern at this point?
I just want to add one thing.
Go ahead, Bob.
They make these stop signs, guys out there with little tiny reflectors all the way around the outside. I don't want to see the lighted up ones. They have those too. But I would like to see those. So when their headlights hit those, it says, "Oh, what's that?" And that'll stop. They'll know their stop sign. I'm not saying they're going to still stop, but they'll know it's there.
Conventional reflective over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And they
They
have
put it around the
the
outside.
poles
Yeah.
and the stop ahead signs before. It's just we don't have the cross traffic signs there.
I mean, if they just had something like stop ahead, I mean, the stop signs are almost literally right on the
There's stop ahead
intersection.
signs there.
They knew ahead of time.
There is a new four-way intersection ahead. It doesn't say ahead, it's just a sign that shows a cross.
They just put that down there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's new.
Well, we can look to improve the signage there, even more so than we already have. Because it's been upgraded in that intersection several times since I've been on the board.
We can put a street light there because so it wasn't so dark there.
Right.
We did that, what, about 4 or 5 years ago? Just trying to make it safer. And I will also say that walking on Blissville, Rice Willis and River Street has gotten a lot more challenging. And, I've had to jump over the guardrail, or not really, I jumped into a front lawn a couple times. Because I try to walk every day, but I've also,
I can remember people pulling kids in wagons, walking dogs. I mean,
I used to do that.
yeah, and you never see that anymore.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Anything else for citizens' concerns?
Roy Newton. And I think it should be of concern to the select board and all Castleton residents. There is a meeting on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. at the State House in Montpelier concerning Vermont State University. The Chancellor is meeting with a delegation from Rutland County. And I encourage anybody who is interested in the university to attend that meeting. Some people are gathering at 6 a.m. at the Science Center to maybe carpool and whatnot. But it's certainly an important meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Roy. What is it in regards to, Roy?
It's in regards to the operation of the school and what is happening around the state and what's happening at Castleton with some of the changes over there. I can get into details if you want.
No. I just wanted the general.
The general makeup of the university and what's happening with enrollment and so forth.
Okay.
Anything else for citizens' comments? Anybody on Zoom, Mike?
Anybody on Zoom have a citizens' comments item that's not on the agenda?
And we're gonna move on to police update.
A couple of things I want to address with Blissville. The one thing that we did, same with the Creek Road, Break Road, we'll get a road survey. We'll get a survey, traffic survey that has to be done on that road, how long it has been. And then we will put our cart down there this summer. We try to alternate our speed carts. We've seen them around. I don't think we've ever had one on Blissville. All right, let's go through the report for February. So we had an increase from about 30 extra calls to 550 total calls for the month in February. As you can see, like it was noted, we had a big increase in mental health, which is getting more, we're coming across more and more issues with that. People that have mental health issues and that are in crisis. Which can take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I think everything else pretty much did increase, suspicious person circumstances. That's could be people walking on a road or hanging around somewhere where they look scared or scary. Any comments or questions on service calls? Yes, Bob.
Just quickly explain what the motorist assist, what exactly that is.
So that's somebody that has not had an accident. Maybe they had a slide off or they ran out of gas on the road or something where they need some kind of emergency assistance that's not criminal in nature and not an accident or no damage.
Just considerably up from February from January.
Because of the weather.
Because of the weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the increase, that's why you have the increases.
I'm good.
All right, criminal arrest, we had last month, we did 3. Which is normal for this time, this period. March, you'll see a dramatic increase. As the weather gets warmer, the people get a little crazier. They get out more. And that's where you have the increase in traffic, DWIs, traffic violations, That's, we usually average between 80 and 100 during the winter months, so that's kind of where we stay at. Calls of service at Castleton University, or actually the Northern Vermont University at Castleton campus. We had a total of 8 in February. You can see what they were. We had an accident, minor accident, citizen assist, 1 directed patrol. That's probably when they were hitting some of the cars back then. Medical emergency, mental health. Any questions on those?
Seems like they've been pretty quiet.
Yeah, I mean, off campus, we're gonna see an increase. It's graduations on the 17th. And as probably in April, mid-April on, is you're gonna see the off-campus activity increase. But we've been actually blessed over the last couple of years. We've actually kept it down pretty good. Okay, we talk about some of the notes that we put in the back. We did talk about the increases, suspicious complaints. Okay, this suspicious person where somebody, or that maybe we came across somebody, especially at night, if somebody's walking the road at 2 a.m., we can obviously stop and ask them, hey, how you doing? You all right? They don't necessarily have to identify themselves, but we at least know that they're not, have burglary tools and pulling handles on doors. We did our sex offender registry checks last month. We do them quarterly, so we do them 4 times a year. And they were all compliant. Directed patrols. You'll see those numbers. So that's something that Justin and I just talked about, actually. So we're probably a lot of work, but we can separate some of those calls into areas where we're doing them, because right now they're all lumped together. So maybe we'll do that maybe every quarter, kind of give you a heads up on where we've been doing it. That way we have to break it down every month. Is that something you would like or not? Or does it make a difference?
How much time is it gonna take? To keep putting administrative stuff on.
I know.
It's like we talk about, we need more patrol.
Got on the record thing, so I think that was challenging. Yeah, no, I think a quarter, unless something specific relates to a specific incident, I think.
If it was 4 hours, I think people would say, no, we'd rather have you patrol 4 hours than have to do administrative work so we can look at the numbers.
Right. All right, I'll get back to you on that. I'll talk with Justin, see how long that would take. Property checks, we're still doing those. We had Justin, town manager, some site visits to make sure all the first aid kits and AEDs were compliant and up to date. We did order several new kits for various departments for the town for compliance, which is important. And off campus, we talked about that. Yes, sir.
Same question I've asked you 2 or 3 times and you give me the same answer, but I'm looking for it's probably the same answer again.
What's that?
On number 2, is that public information? If I come to you and say, where's Joe's on the sex offender registry?
Oh, yeah. No, that's public. You can look it up on the website.
Can I? Oh, okay.
Has a website.
They have a public website. You can actually run
So
that.
I don't have to bother you to come and say, hey, where does Joe Smith live?
It should
I
have
heard he's
their-
in town.
Yep, it should have their address if they're under conditions. Most of the ones that are here, we got 9 now. We got a new one that moved in, so he's getting compliant as we speak.
But it's all on the website.
Most of them have already completed sentences, which means they just have to be on the registry for 10 years. Some of them, once at 10 years, they can get off.
So they won't be on the website.
Correct. These will be on the web. The ones that we have right now active, they're on there.
You can search it by town. It lists everything.
Yeah. They can look for the whole state. Okay. Yep. Any other questions?
Not a question, just a statement. I want to thank, Justin Shreko for putting the time in to get the cameras organized for the Crystal Beach and the wastewater. I talked to the library, I talked to Nancy Mark sent me a message today about the library because they want to, next year when that grant comes around again, they want to participate in that program so that we have the cameras because that's the last building that will not have surveillance cameras in it for town buildings.
Good.
So it's been really nice to have Justin take the lead on that and do all the legwork, paperwork and coordinate it. So we're 1 year away from having surveillance at all of our facilities at 24-hour coverage. So thank you.
You know, I'd also like to add, I wasn't aware of this until I went out to do a site visit at Castleton Cares, but you know, Justin volunteers a tremendous amount of time to Castleton Cares, and I know the chief as well delivers meals to people that
About 40,
pardon?
about 30 to 40 that we deliver.
To people that are not mobile and you know, it's sad to think there's people in our community that don't have enough to eat, but there are. And I think it's really commendable that our police department finds the compassion to assist these people and make sure that they get food and that they feel safe. They know that the police department is aware of them and cares about them. And that's invaluable. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Justin's he's on the board over there. After I stopped to talk to them, they had their Monday night. They open for a couple hours down there. They have a lot of food.
If you haven't been there,
They got a lot of food.
They really, they've got a great thing going
Yeah,
on.
they really do.
Cooking food, they're providing,
Yeah.
healthy food choices for people.
Okay.
Thank you, thanks, Jim.
Tyler Technologies. Need an update on the townwide reappraisal?
And just so you're aware, Mary Jo Peter is on Zoom.
You gonna start with questions or is he gonna start with a report?
Let's start with questions.
With questions first or the report?
Well, give us a short report and then we'll go move to questions.
Sure. Okay. Well, we are finalizing our values. I was just doing some checks today, running some reports, trying to produce some reports for Mary Jo so that she can conduct her review and feel comfortable with the work that we've done. We're going to move into informal hearing process, which is folks will get their preliminary values and they will be able to contact us if they want to have a hearing. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're hoping that people do if they have concerns of their value. And we also hope that they have an opportunity to review their property value as well as other people's property values. We do need to make sure that the Castleton website is up to date and has the new property data on the website so that people can conduct those reviews of their property to the neighbors' properties and so forth. I think where we're at as of today.
Go ahead, you go first, Mark.
So John, I do have some questions and I want to start by saying, you know, I'm a layperson at this. I have no experience at all. So maybe my view is skewed, but I'm going to start with the request that we had for townwide reappraisal, right? That's what you responded to, request for townwide. And in the appraisal services agreement, you mentioned that it's a townwide reappraisal. And in the first letter that I received as a homeowner, explaining what you were doing,
Right.
you mentioned interior inspections typically take about 10 minutes, while exterior inspections take approximately 10 minutes. For optimum accuracy, we prefer to conduct a full inspection, which takes about 20 minutes. And that's what I had assumed would happen. So I was really surprised when you were at our last meeting and said that you had done interior inspections on 23% of homes.
Correct.
I was really shocked. I thought you were gonna say 98%. So I did check with the Vermont Tax Department and I spoke with a woman, Christy Wright, you probably know her. And I got a sheet. What is a reappraisal? Complete reappraisal is a reassessment of all town properties, including the following: interior property inspections. I said to her, what would you anticipate would be a percentage of how many interior measurements should be done? And she said, I would anticipate all of them if it's a complete reappraisal. And I guess I would too, knowing that that's not going to be 100% possible, that some people are not going to allow you in. And I thought, could we really have 77% of people in town not let you in? So I did an informal survey. I talked to 31 people, my neighbors and friends. Of those, 3 of us had reached out and scheduled appraisals, myself being one. Rob, you did one.
I did not.
No, you did not. Okay. And a friend of mine, people came to my house as scheduled. I think they probably spent 5 minutes total, not 20, but they measured the outside of the house, came into my dining room, said, we're good. Another friend of mine did the same thing. And I was surprised when I looked at his updated appraisal that there was no mention that in between the last one and this one, not only was his road paved, it was dirt, now it's paved, but his nice driveway was paved and that wasn't updated. I would have thought that would affect the appraisal. Again, I'm a layperson, maybe it doesn't, but I was surprised by that. One of my neighbors was outside when the appraiser pulled in, so he did an appointment right away and that went
Right.
fine.
Yep.
Another person that I spoke to knew one of the appraisers and called to find out when the appraiser would be coming and was told that their house had already been done. And they were kind of surprised because they have a home office and they're there most of the time. And no one had knocked on the door, no one had left a door card. Another one of my neighbors, who happens to be the chairman of the select board, was eating lunch and he heard a car in his driveway. So he looked out and saw the car leaving. So they didn't knock on the door, obviously. He was there. They must have just done a drive-by and taken a picture. And I looked at his updated appraisal and it did not reflect a new deck that he had put on. It was 280 square feet. So it didn't require a permit because it was under 300 square feet. But it was an exotic African wood deck that probably cost $15,000. And I would have thought that would have been reflected on the updated card. So, and 25 of the people I talked to said, no, we haven't had anybody stop by. Nobody's knocked on the door. Nobody's left a door card. So again, as a layperson, I'm looking at this saying, I'm not saying that your people are doing a bad job, and I'm not saying that your processes are bad, but I'm saying that the end result, from my viewpoint, would be really poor, horrible. Now I'm ready to hear your response. I'm done. Yep.
There's a lot to unpack here, obviously. So our staff has knocked on every door and they have done inspections when requested. And they've also made multiple attempts to contact people, starting with a data mailer. The front of the letter said, we are here, give us a call to do an inspection. And we received a lot of calls from that. That created a list of something like 945 emails that we sent out to people in addition to that, asking them, please schedule an inspection. This is part of the process. We have an online scheduling tool that you may use. And if you're not comfortable with that, contact us and we will contact you. Everybody that has has come to us requesting inspection, has received an inspection. So there's, as you know, this is a two-way street. It takes a community to be involved in this. And these reappraisals affect every single person in town because everyone is going to get a new value and it's going to be higher. Yes, I think that we have a responsibility to try to get into as many homes as possible. Also, citizens have a responsibility to do their part and let us inside those homes and or contact us so that we can schedule inspections. We haven't denied anybody that's requested an inspection. I don't know about the particular incident of one of our staff pulling out of the driveway and the person having a deck, maybe it was out in the back.
Mr. Combs, he could address that for you.
Okay.
The home when that
The
happened.
deck is actually in the photograph that your person took, just so you're aware.
The person did inspection of your home and they did not enter the deck that was in the back or the front, or,
It's in the image, the photograph that your inspector took.
and it's not not on the software?
That is correct.
And he didn't knock on the door.
And I know he didn't knock on the door because I can see the back door from where I sit and eat lunch. And there was no question in my mind that no one got out of the vehicle and knocked on my door.
Do you know who the person was?
I don't, I can tell you the date.
Okay.
But not at the top of my head, but I
Actually-
believe it was November 7th.
Yeah, we may have it. There's on the software, it has a place where you can put the the incident of the inspection, the inspector, the time, the reason that we can put in an activity note, basically.
Yeah, it was
All activities related
the
to.
the date sounds right that was on the card, the updated card.
Yep.
With the new value. But doesn't mention the deck, and it mentions the patio that I eliminated when I built the deck. The patio still has a value on the lister card and the deck does not. And so that's cause for concern if it's an oversight in my property, because how many others were not inspected as thoroughly as they could have been, and that's outside. There's no reason, whether I was there or not, they couldn't have noticed that there was a new deck.
My visit consisted of somebody coming into my business, which is separate from my house, saying they were from Tyler Technologies, asking if everything was the same as previous, and saying, all right, have a nice day, and leaving. They were for less than a minute they were there. That was my experience from that.
It just seems that is it $275,000 a contract?
Correct.
And you had someone stated in there that it took 20 minutes to do the appraisal. So you're basing that value on doing 3 properties an hour. And in reality, I think you've been doing a dozen an hour in drive-bys.
Well,
I understand that a lot of people have not responded, but I would think that that's probably typical everywhere. Maybe
That's-
some towns, everybody responds.
that's correct. I mean, I want to make that point as well. The rough estimate of properties that we've inspected are on par with any other company, reappraisals around the state. In fact, reappraisals around the entire country. The state that has that has the highest percentage is New Jersey, where if you don't let the inspector in your house, then you waive your right to appeal. And so they get between 40 and 45% of the homes inspected, according to some conversations I've had with some colleagues when I was down in Ohio 2 weeks ago. So the inspection rates are very difficult because people either simply don't come to the door, or they're not at home, or they don't respond to the multiple attempts that are made when we try to do our job. And that's unfortunate. I do want to explain a little bit about mass appraisal in general, if I may. It's not like a bank appraisal. It's different. It's mass appraisal. So what you do is you do sales analysis and you calibrate valuation tables based on the information from the market, so to speak. And then you apply that to the unsold properties. If the data of a particular property is accurate, then it should produce an accurate value. And I know by seeing more houses, obviously interiors and so forth, you will have more accurate data. Buildings don't tend to change in size unless there's an addition or a permit for that type of thing. But there are things that do change, and there are, and then buildings wear out over time slowly. So it is a difficult job to try to get to every single property, not just get to every property, but to do every property when people have busy lives and people are not there and people don't respond to letters, to emails, to inquiries of trying to get into into the properties. That said, I believe that the values that we have on the properties today are at market. They're good. They're showing uniformity, and this reappraisal will pass. And the state will be conducting an independent test at the end of this reappraisal, as they do with all reappraisals of all towns. And that'll pass as well.
You say the data is good because your formula showed it. I don't think the data is good because you didn't make the stops. And I guess we can argue about that. You can tell me that your appraisers knocked on every door, but that's not what I 31 people I talked to, it's a very small sample, I get that, and it wasn't a controlled sample, but just like Dick, who was sitting there in his house and would have heard the knock on his door, I believe that, are you home most of the time?
No.
No, okay. Well, a lot of the people I
A lot
spoke
of
to
the,
are.
a lot of the time, but I don't think you even did a go by. I certainly didn't get an email, I didn't get a letter, and I didn't have anything left in my door.
Nobody got a door card.
I'm quite shocked, actually, because we certainly sent a mailer early on. We set up a website. We actually put what we call software called Calendly, which allows people to self-schedule their own inspection at their convenience. So we've made multiple attempts, and we sent out emails to a lot of people, put Front Porch Forum, and we've made those attempts, and my staff has driven the entire town and knocked on every door.
Didn't knock on my door, or you didn't leave anything, one or the other.
Well, they were supposed to leave something, so I don't know what happened in your particular case.
I did get the calendar and schedule it, and it worked correctly.
Yeah,
The thing,
That part worked, but I have not spoken to anyone that got a door card.
the other thing that you have to be aware of, not everybody is technology smart.
right.
So emails don't mean anything to a lot of people. Going on the website doesn't mean anything to anybody. I think you have to put out more effort and not depend wholly on the residents of Castleton.
I would imagine that there's a certain amount of residents, no matter how many times you knock on their door, they just don't want you in. It's the percentage has grown over the course of time. I've been doing this for 30 years, and the amount of people that let you in their home is shrinking. It's a lot less than it used to be. Luckily, there's some technology out there with LiDAR, with imaging, with access to MLS. You get to see a lot of information of homes from the inside and outside, going back 5, 6, 7 years. And so luckily there's those efforts, because it is more difficult than it used to be to enter someone's home, partially because of safety and partially because two parents might be working or they might not be at home.
3 of the 31 people I talked to said they would not let an appraiser in.
3?
3 of 31,
The appraiser never asked me if they could go in the house.
roughly 10%.
I would have gladly let them go in.
Hmm.
This is the second time I've been reappraised. The first time the appraiser came, I don't know, what was it, 2015?
15.
Asked if they could go in the house, asked if I could walk them around the yard and show everything so that they could measure. This one literally was everything the same as before. Yep, okay, see ya, gone. Now, I believe there was a drastic increase we had in the amount of homes that got appraised in a short period of time. I think it was 400. It took all summer to get to 400. And then within a month, it jumped up to 1,400 or something. I don't know the exact numbers, but how can you account for that? It took 4 months to do 400 and then it took a month to do 1,000. Did you hire more people on? What was the reasoning?
No, we started off, doing the properties around the lake because, we felt that not everyone lives around the lake year round. So that was the most important part to, get to quickly. Those houses are obviously close together and you can get into those houses vacationers or the owners are there seasonally. So, we thought that was the most important part. And then we moved around the town and in rural areas, it definitely takes a lot longer.
No, it took less time. The second half took a significantly less amount of time. So what you're saying is the first batch was closer together, so they were faster to get through. But then the second batch was like instantly done. Because we were questioning whether you were gonna be done on time. And then instantly you did 1,000 of them in a month or whatever.
I'm
It
sure
seems
was
like
more
there were a
than
lot
that.
of drive-bys.
We've been doing inspections even through the winter time.
Well, I believe it was reported. I believe we have that information, correct?
So are all the pictures that you have taken, does Mary Jo have them now?
Yes, they're all in the system.
So I should go see Mary Jo.
You can go see Mary Jo.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yours is definitely updated.
Oh, you know it? You checked it out?
I checked a lot of them out. They're all updated.
Shut this off, Jim.
Go ahead, Bob.
I'm gonna reiterate what Mary Lee said. Everything you said, we had to reach out to you. That wasn't gonna happen at my house. And I can tell you, numerous other houses aren't gonna reach out to you. I filled out the sheet that you sent out, checking off everything.
Yep, thank you for.
My sheet said I had a fireplace. I don't know if that house has ever had a fireplace.
Yeah.
We've discussed that before.
Yep. We were aware.
But as far as us reaching out to you, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That is not gonna happen. I just assumed you would come around, knock on my door, which you're not gonna catch us home. Hopefully the criminals aren't hearing this, but we're not home. Out back keeps an eye on our house.
Right.
I continuously, and not continuously, that's not the right word. I kept looking for a card on my door saying you guys were there, or you could even call and left the message on the phone. I asked the wife, she said, we got no phone calls. I've seen no card on the door.
Well, if we don't necessarily have phone numbers unless they put them on the data mailer.
But I would have let you in and
Yeah.
look through my whole house. I got nothing from them guys. So I'm saying, I'm asking you, now, did you say earlier in your conversation that I can reach out to you and you can tell me what day you were there? Did I hear that right?
There's what they call activity notes that are in the CAMA system. CAMA system is the valuation software system. Well, it's an acronym for the Patriot Properties Valuation Software System. And we can enter our notes in there, like stopped on such and such a day, exterior inspection only. That owner, interior inspection, change condition, or remeasure the deck, some sort of simplified note. And they would have a record card with other data changes. What happens is, a lot of the data, most houses don't change a whole lot over the course of 10 years. So, yes, it's great to verify that. It's really a verification type of reappraisal. Still want to do inspections because people do interior renovations without permits. So we want to capture those. Of course we do. And you're not going to capture all of them. Of course not. But a lot of folks, they might do minor updates, not a lot of updates, and the information that was there before will pass onto this reappraisal and it'll still be valued and still be increased because of market increasing. But it's what I'm basically saying is a lot of properties don't change physically over the course of time, but some do. And those are the ones we really want to try to capture.
Well, it sounds like we could have just reviewed the last 50 houses that sold, and if they sold for 40% more than they were appraised, we can just add 40% to the whole town and not have paid the $275,000 for the reappraisal.
Well,
I mean, you're saying the houses don't change much, so you can look at a couple and apply that to the whole town. And I don't think that's what we paid for, and I don't think that
well, I understand.
not what we paid for.
I understand that. It was our job to try to get into as many properties as possible. And that has not gone without effort. We've made a lot of efforts.
I'm
to do that.
unconvinced.
Yeah, there was zero effort at my house.
All the people that I've talked to that have not seen anybody or got a door card would not say that. I mean, I just went to their houses and knocked on doors of all my neighbors, and they all answer the door and they go, no, we haven't seen anybody. I mean, I'm 66 years old. Most of my peers are retired. You know, they're home a lot. And I don't know why they weren't home when you went, but they always are when I do. I mean, they're decent, honest people. They're not lying about, you know, they didn't hide in the basement when somebody knocked at their door.
Okay, we're gonna we're gonna move on from this particular, and we're gonna talk about next steps.
I wanted to say one thing. I want to make sure I don't forget to say this. So informal hearings are coming up, and it's an opportunity for someone to meet with us, review their property value. We're going to ask every single person that we meet, I'm going to instruct staff, the hearing officers, which are all appraisers, experienced, if they would like an inspection of their property. I think that'll help, and it'll result in more inspections. And there's always some cases where you really want to go see a house because you know the data is wrong or something is in conflict. But we'll ask everybody that we would like to do an inspection of their property. So there's this period coming up, and then after this period, there's the Board of Assessor period that's coming up after that. And again, there'll be more inspections at that point as well.
So you already have your appraised value. Why are you gonna ask them after you've already appraised their house if you can go look at it? That should have been done before you set the appraisal.
Well, at some point you have to establish values and you send them to the property owners themselves. It's their turn to review their property, and they should come back to us if they have concerns with the data and so forth. We don't want to just give someone a new number. We actually want them to look on the website and look at their particular property specifically, but they also have an opportunity to review the neighbors' properties, not to appeal the neighbors' properties, but to look at the comparison of their neighbor's property to their own property. That happens quite a bit. And people can, it's another opportunity to
But that's
correct any
a reactive response from a layperson, because none of them, maybe one or two people in town would be qualified to appraise their own property, but most people aren't. That's why we hired you. No, you say you're going to ask each individual if they want an inspection. We want an inspection. That's what's in this request for qualifications for townwide appraisal. That's what we asked for. So it would be fair. So each home would be evaluated for its value. Maybe Robbie's house went up 50% and Dick's went up 10% and Bob's went up 90%. Not for them to work out. It's for a professional to look at and say, this is what the market is. You know, 1-bedroom houses didn't go up much. 3-bedroom houses went up a lot. This is what they're worth. Professional opinion, not the neighbors debating. Is that what your house is worth? And I think mine is overappraised.
I don't disagree with that, but I do want to tell you that our process is not any different than any other company. It's the same process. There's a review period, there's a data collection period, verification, there's sales analysis period, there's table recalibration, applying those to the unsold properties, and then an opportunity for property owners to have a review in front of an appraiser. That's the process that's been outlined in city law, as well as the way it's conducted around the country.
Now,
I get all.
are you sending letters out
Well, that's what I was gonna,
We're hoping to
I
send
was
them
gonna
out
say,
very
how
soon.
do I know what you've appraised my
well,
property?
that was why I wanted to start talking about next steps, Mary Lee,
Right.
which is what I think we need to move into that phase of this discussion now.
Yeah.
Next steps are there's somewhere in the immediate near future, you're going to be generating a document that's sent to every property owner. Is that correct?
Right, we're prepping the letter now. We're talking to a call center so that people can call in. We are asking to have the website set up so that it's easy for people to schedule themselves, but have an option that they can make a call and have someone else schedule for them. We're gonna need some space. Most of the hearings will be by phone, where we have data in front of us, especially this particular data. We are going to give some time to do face-to-face. And also, I myself will be available for commercial property hearings. And this is over the course of the next 3 weeks.
So when are the letters, when do you anticipate sending those letters out?
Well, I want to meet with Mary Jo and do some more review because I want her comfortable with the results of what we're doing. And so I'm hoping that the letters will go out next week, early next week. And that'll be a few weeks before the hearings will be held, they're tentatively scheduled for the 14th, which is a Monday, for that entire week.
The week of April 14th for the hearings?
Yeah. Informal.
The informal hearings.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, before we get too deep into this, I met with Mary Jo last week and I owe a huge apology because did you ever get something from me on a timeline?
I didn't.
Son of a gun. So after all this effort that Mary Jo and I went through, I failed to send you something. And because I have concerns about us getting ourselves ready for this period to start. And I think Mary Jo, she's on, I think the 11th of April is what I said, we need till 11th of April, not the 4th of April. Because Mary Jo has work to do with making sure stuff is on the website. We've got, we've been talking about, when you talk about next steps, I don't want to get too lean on.
I'm not asking anyone to make a hard commitment right at this moment. I'm trying to get an idea of what the process is going to look like. The other question I had is, in 2015, we had this available,
That's the booklet.
the booklet.
Yeah.
And your plan was, up until at least the last meeting, was to not generate this document?
Well, I thought you asked us to do it, and so we're gonna do it. And
Right, I did.
what we want to do is replicate that. I think it's a RAID by street address, prior value, new value, percentage, ID, of course, owner's name must have owner's name in it. So that can be easily produced and made available. We weren't going to mail them out to everybody, but post it online and also make several hundred copies for people that want to come into town. And
Yeah, I do agree that's adequate. But I do, once again, we talked about Uncle Henry and his inability to go online. So we need to be sure that this exists and is available.
you bet.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know why we're moving ahead with incomplete data. I get there's a process from here that goes on and they're ready to plug the data that they have into it and move through that process. And I'm saying the data's no good.
I agree with you. It isn't any good.
You know, they drove by your house, took a picture of it. Now they're going to say, are you good with this appraisal? And what expertise are you using to say yes or no?
Just hoping it's not up too high.
If it's really high, you're going to complain. If it's too low, you're going to go, boy, they missed that.
Well, I already know that the pricing.
You're going to look at your neighbor's house and go, I don't know, theirs is higher than mine or lower than mine. I don't get it. I'm
I tell you what,
flabbergasted.
my property was increased 68%, so I do plan on asking for the justification for that, but that's not, didn't want to get into those weeds right now.
Right, that's approximately the average increase that people are gonna see. I disagree, I apologize, I disagree. There's been a lot of effort that has happened. not just in the field, but behind the scenes, reviewing the market extensively, calibrating tables, running analysis on that. There's a lot of work that goes on.
I get that. I believe that.
Thank you. And the date for the informal hearings was April 14th, not the 4th. Mike?
Yeah, I don't know where we're at in this conversation now, because I've been seeing red right now.
You did give me the date of April 14th.
Okay.
But after, Mr. Chairman, I sat down with Mary Jo and we looked at the timelines, and it has to fit our timelines. And the question had to be, if you wanted those booklets, if we're producing them locally, or, because we went through this song and dance with Repro Graphics and figured out how much it was gonna cost to make X amount of them, with the mailing and all that stuff. So those are things that we wanted to present to the board so you could make a good decision. And I failed to put it on paper. I got it all in notes over my office. But the timelines, we went from June 4th, when Mary Jo asked to be able to file the abstract, and backwards planned off that, all the time that we need to include the informal hearings, the assessor hearings, and then any work that need to be done in between that, so that Mary Jo had enough time to be able to file the abstract too. And so we put this time and effort into it, and I just feel like crap right now because I didn't give it to you. It would have helped you probably on these next steps, because it spelled out all the next steps and the timelines that we needed to be able to do it.
Well, I think that there's at least two members of this board that are not convinced that the data is accurate. Fair statement?
That's a very fair statement.
So at this point in time, we have a pretty full agenda and we're gonna have to move on. So what I would suggest we do is, Mark, we'll talk tomorrow and we'll figure out how we're going to evaluate. You know, we can take this offline. That select board meeting is not the place to have a deep dive into this. But we're gonna have to take some of your time and do a deep dive with you to either convince ourselves that you have done a good job or you have not.
I'm convinced that all your formulas and analysis are perfect. I just don't think your street data is.
So we'll have to give you an opportunity to change his mind and change anyone else's mind who wants to sit in on that. If that means we have to have a special select board meeting, then we'll do that.
Right, this is important.
But we need to move on the agenda too, Mark, so.
Yep, we're not gonna get anywhere here. We have a
Reasonable
disagreement and neither one of us is gonna change the other person's mind.
I'll talk to Mark. We'll arrange something where you can have an opportunity to convince Mark and any other board members that need convincing that what you've done is complete, concise, and accurate.
I'll actually make some suggestions when we get together
Okay.
on how to do a reasonable review.
Yep.
And
I think that that's in order at this point. I don't think that tonight is the night to do that, but I think that we should do that soon. Oh, yeah, there's two people in the audience, but anyone else on the board for now?
I had one question. When we get this preliminary value beginning of next week, will I have on that preliminary value, will I have, the houses that you compared mine to, or is that not?
it's not like a bank appraisal where there's comparables and making adjustments. It's a different process.
But we're gonna get that preliminary value beginning of next week, because I've got nothing right now.
Well, we hope that we can have that to you. I'm hoping to meet with Mary Jo tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, because I decided this afternoon to actually look at some newish, add a few more sales, the most recent sales, to see how they're coming into the assessments. And so I'm going to get something to her. I want to present her something so that she understands the process, the data behind the new valuations and so forth. And that'll be a nice launching point for explaining and showing and demonstrating the work that we've done, that it is sound. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, Helen, do you still have a comment?
Well, I guess I do. I did make an appointment with you to have my house looked at, and I did allow the gentleman who came inside. But all he did was ask me, have you made any changes in here in the last 10 years? Nope. Doesn't know I didn't, maybe I added a bathroom, I don't know. That's what he asked.
They're certainly not instructed to do that. So maybe you can just tell me where you live and I can look up the record. Roy Newton, did you say how much the average property is going to increase in Castleton? Well, we're getting very close to that number. What do you think? But it's about a multiple of 1.7. That doesn't mean
70%.
70% increase. In the property values in Castleton? Yes, the market has appreciated over the past 10 years. But that's an average.
If you look at what houses
Right.
are selling.
That's an extreme, that's a very big increase, but it's not unusual. And it's also, that's the average. So in what we did, I don't want people to think that we've done an indexing where everyone has increased at the same proportional rate. That's not the way it is. But running the aggregate sum of the prior to the new, that's the ratio I'm getting right now. And we're on final review, and that's approximately the average increase. Some will be less than that, some will be more than that. The purpose of this reappraisal is to reestablish equity.
Agreed.
Perhaps this is a dumb question, but you are checking sales that have happened in Castleton.
Oh, yes.
I don't think there's been any farm sales in Castleton probably in 10 years. Had people go out of business, but the farm is still the farm. How do you say this house that used to be 3,000 and it sold for 700,000? How does that affect a farm?
Well, most of the sales are those small houses on 2 acres. That's the majority of the sales. So the properties that are in certain locations with bigger lots might not have appreciated at that same rate. Not an indexing, we build a land schedule and we apply the land schedule based on the analysis that we do. And the building, if it's on a very bigger lot, there's a diminishing return on land value. So you usually tend to see the larger the lot, the price per acre really comes down. But the primary 2 acres is usually similar to something that would be more in a, I don't know, suburban location, I should say.
Yeah, I can see my property has to go down then.
Do you take into consideration homes that are being purchased as secondary homes?
Yeah, you look at all of those homes, yep.
All right, we're gonna move on. Mike?
I just want to get one thing on the record is, and maybe it can be discussed later, but the state properties like the university and stuff like that, do you guys appraise those?
Yes, we do. Right, yep.
Because that drives probably helps drive the pilot payment that we get from the state or something.
It does. There's 2 values that they can accept. One is the insurance value that they produce, and one is the estimated market value that we produce.
And on those cards is who did the inspections on there? That's a lot of buildings and stuff to go to.
Yeah, I think we did Castleton early on. Don't remember who did it, but I think we did that early on.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you.
Sorry to take all your time.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch with how we're gonna figure this out.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be sure to get that deck added to your property record card.
Yours is 1.9.
Yeah, yours just went up, Dick.
It's reasonable.
8%. Wow.
Wow.
That's that second round of the marble floors I put in.
Oh, it was interesting that it was in the picture they took, but it wasn't on the lister card. I'm not trying to hide you.
Sure, that's deck to your. We want it to be accurate.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. All right, we're gonna move on to, let's talk about trails on Birdseye. It should be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So Andy was here, he's in the back. I think I shared the emails with the select board members about,
I saw it.
the discussion that happened between Andy and, Mr. Davis and the possibility of putting in a trailhead kind of area on Birdseye, for a couple, 1 or 2 acres. I guess the point of this discussion was to see, does the select board have, any desire to move forward with that? So we can have further discussions with Mr. Davis, our attorneys, and, kind of get diving more into the weeds on this thing. But if they subdivide his property into 1 or 2 acres, whatever that might look like, that'll be town property. We'd have to come up with a plan to maintain the access point, and I don't know what it looks like. It's gonna require culverts and, that kind of stuff. But is it to have that ability for the town to have a piece of property that could be used to access those trails? Is that something that the board, wants me to pursue?
I know 20% of the board wants you to pursue it. I don't know about the other 80%.
I'm so over the top about this that I could gush about it.
You're prepared to commit resource too?
Birdseye Mountain is a tremendous feature in the state of Vermont. It's known everywhere. I don't know if you guys have ever hiked to the top of it, but the views, you can see most of the Adirondacks, Camel's Hump, Mount Mansfield. You get up there and you think that it was Mount Everest. The views are phenomenal. And a lot of people hike up there that we don't know about. There just isn't a good access to it. Ed Davis owns the property. He had a 4-wheeler club established for a while. That's gone away. There isn't really a place to park. Where they used to park for the 4-wheeler club, Ed has closed it off because people would dump garbage there, or, the way people are. Some people, the majority of people are not. But for us to have public access to that, a free piece of property that we would probably spend, I don't know, I don't have the expertise to say 10 grand to put a culvert in there and parking for 8 cars, 10 cars, something like that. It would be a really, really good calling card for our community. You see the number of people that come and visit and use the rail trail. If you guys go up to Mount Zion, the newest state park in Hubbardton, there's always a dozen or 15 cars up there. It's really good, clean tourism. People like to come to Vermont and appreciate the natural beauty that we have. Birdseye is 20 times better than Mount Zion. And if we had a way that people could legally park there, a lot of people would. And I think that it would be good for tourism. It would go hand in hand with the rail trail that we have and some other things that are going on in the community. It's a really good, healthy activity.
I had a question. I've been up on there, but, there's a whole hang gliding thing, a ramp that's all dilapidated now, but, there is a state access up farther way up at the top. But does that access where Ed's trails are, or only down on that lower side where you can access?
People rappel off that side. Do you do that, Andy?
Just for the students, yeah.
I mean, to get to,
It's disconnected. The state wildlife area is disconnected from the trails. The wildlife area cannot have trails on it. It's part of the state statute for wildlife management areas.
I just wanted that on record, Andy, so that people know that there is someone to say there's already access up top, but it doesn't give you access to where the trails are.
so Andy lives up there, and he had approached Ed Davis. Would Ed allow the Recreation Commission in some capacity, would he allow public trails to be built? And he was concerned about liability. Andy's really familiar with the state statutes that limit property holders from liability of recreational users. But Ed came up with this idea that he would donate a piece of property and the town could use it to make parking. Andy has volunteered to monitor it every day because he drives by it at least twice, to make sure that garbage is picked up, that there's no can't really vandalize a parking lot other than leaving garbage. The majority of people that utilize recreational paths and hiking trails don't leave a mess, and in fact, probably help pick up what mess is there. I think it would be a great asset for our community.
Are you considering just, hiking or motorized vehicles? Or
No motorized
no
vehicles.
motorized?
It used to be, but, you know, that, it is very steep and that creates some liability when people are on motorcycles and four-wheelers and so forth. So no, this would just be hiking, and that would be part of the parking area that we would put in would have to have signage and also, you know, probably some way to limit the width of the trail to a person. You know, whether we put rocks up or something like that.
Couple of well-placed boulders or
Yeah.
a couple logs, something like the rail
There's
trail.
logs available up there.
There are logs available. So if the board has an appetite to move forward with this, then we'll ask the town manager to do that.
You got my
Go
point.
ahead.
Yeah.
Any objection?
Nope.
Then we're gonna move on. We're gonna get it done. It may take a few days, but we'll get it done.
We're gonna forge ahead at the speed of town government.
Well, it's
See,
faster than the
that's
federal
why
government. I give it,
give it a couple of years and we'll talk about it again.
it's not moving at the speed of state or
Is there
federal.
any dock spaces up there?
Okay, let's talk about, here's another one that won't be a tough one. Appointment of a fire warden.
I would make a motion that we reappoint our fire chief Heath Goyette as fire warden.
Second it.
For a 5-year period?
That's what they usually do.
Are you willing?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Just gonna update Smokey more often, please?
Try.
Fair enough.
I don't go by here every day, so
Who seconded that?
Rob.
by electronic.
One of us, take your pick.
It's probably Rob, it covers both.
We gotta vote on it?
We are. All in favor?
Aye. Heath, I want to really thank you for all of your service to the community in the capacity of fire chief, fire warden, and also the years and years and years that you have plowed the roads and never called in sick, and your dedication to the town is very, very much appreciated. And still plows the roads.
Get back to the transfer station.
Back to work.
He still gets up in the wee hours to plow the roads.
Yep.
Now
I don't think I ever got stuck.
Oh, no, it's like that.
facility use agreements and alcohol use in town facilities and on town properties. So Mike had provided us with a couple of sample agreements that we can customize for the town if we want to move forward and have I believe the process would be to have a attorney craft this and vet this.
So I would take care of the instructions part of it and get it, make it Castleton's, then submit it to, this is the league's model policy. So they've already vetted it through their legals folks. So once I turn this into Castleton and our attorney looks at it, says yes, and then bada boom, bada bing, we get a policy and two. So yeah, there's 3 things in there. There's the facility use policy. So that determines, that's the policy that you'll set for letting somebody use our facilities. And in there is a facility use agreement for reoccurring, and there's ones that are for one time events. There's 2 different, they're pretty much the same. Most probably 90% of language is the same. But the thing is, one of the things I think the board would want to consider in this is that you still have the ability for exemptions for serving alcohol, because they say no alcohol. So it's up to the board to allow an exemption from the policy if somebody wants to use the facility and have a caterer come in that has alcohol. And I think that there's some urgency on the part of Friends of Rec, because they have something coming up that they want that to be able to serve, have catered alcohol there, somebody catering to serve alcohol. So I talked to Andy today about it, and if the board says yes, they want me to pursue this and get it crafted to our attorney, if I can get a fast turnaround time on that and get it back to the board, and then you come up with your exemptions. Like if you want to say, yes, we're going to have a one-time exemption for this fundraiser, it's going to raise $30,000 for recreation, and you want to be able to have that as your tool to do it. But normally it's going to say no alcohol, but there is a part in here that says about exemptions, because it's up to you. It's your authority.
I would be in favor of having an exemption for, not necessarily a fundraiser, for a event that benefited the public, the greater good. So that in a case like this, where they want to have a fundraiser and the money would go back towards that building, you could say that was in the greater good. If Mary Lee wants to hold a wedding there, I don't think I would be in favor of serving alcohol, because it's a more festive type environment where people are apt to drink more than they should, as opposed to a fundraiser dinner where I think people are going to be more in control.
Well, I think
Does that make
that
sense?
would be something that we would discuss as it came up on a case by case basis anyway.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to rent the basketball court and have a dry stag party, I think that'd be a great event. But if somebody wanted to rent that event and have a stag party.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to rent the gym and the stage and have a stag party.
Yeah,
then
I
it
think
might
I would
be a
have to
different
say,
story.
no, I don't think that's, we would be putting the community in a liability that we don't want it.
Well, in every case, the select board would have the authority to either grant an exemption or not.
Okay, that's just why I want to make sure that it was,
You agree with that, Rob?
Yeah, we would discuss it on a case by case basis.
yeah, this isn't a policy. It's
5 years from now, when, Mary Lee's great granddaughter wants to have a wedding up at Crystal Beach, do we want to allow that? And if so, we can, or we will or will not, depending on how we or the board that's sitting here at the time chooses. But
We have to
they'll
look
have
into
that-
our reputation.
Yeah, but they will have that authority, so I think that we should,
There are only two, so it'll be a while.
and I'm hoping you'll be there with your dancing shoes on.
So I would say send it to the lawyer and see.
Yeah, do your thing, Mike, and proceed with this.
I just have a question. What is this event that I kind of overheard in the back room? What is coming? Yeah, would you speak to it, Mary?
So what we are working on doing is having,
Mary, can you come up to the podium simply because the Zoom microphone doesn't like people in the back?
so Mary McIntyre, Vice President of the Friends of Castleton Rec. What we are working on, what we're calling the Cash Bash, and it's a cash drawing benefit. And what we are planning is to sell 300 tickets at $100 a piece. And that would include a meal for two people with each ticket. And throughout the night, people will mill throughout the rec center. And up in the stage area roughly, we'll have a board with 300 numbers. And throughout the night, we'll have a tumbler and we'll be pulling the lottery tickets. The grand prize will be $5,000 for the 300th ticket drawn. Tickets 1 through 299 in various planned increments, you'll win $100. You might win 250, you might win 500. So hopefully that'll really pique everybody's interest throughout the night. Because you're gonna want to keep your ears tuned because you could be the winner. It may only be $100. And then, of course, for the 300th ticket drawn, you could be the big winner of $5,000. Meanwhile, what's happening as you go through the door, you make your way to the gym, and here's a big buffet. And so far, we've got a local barbecue competitor who is planning on barbecuing for us. We've had donated a steamship round that happens to be in my freezer right now at the weight in of 55 pounds. We've had donated a case of pork butt, boneless pork butt. So far, we haven't spent any money. We've gotten all these things donated to us. And what we're hoping is, and we have a vendor willing to use their license to serve alcohol, not hard alcohol. We're planning on wine and beer. So it'll be someone who's licensed to be serving and paying for it. That will be a cash bar. Some events in the area in Rutland County, it's with your ticket comes an open bar. We're not going to do that. The only thing you're going to get with your ticket is, and also part of the fundraiser, we're going to have silent auction up in the hallway, and we're going to have 50-50. So we're really thinking that this will be a big kickoff for our fundraising for the gym updates, the floor and painting and anything else that may be a surprise that comes up as we're doing this remodeling. But we put a lot of thought into it. We've got a lot of people who are backing it. I have a bang up committee on this of local people who not necessarily come to the Friends of Rec meetings, but are very involved in the town. And we've only had, we're going to have our second meeting tomorrow night, but the progress we've made is phenomenal. And people are really looking forward to it. And what we're really hoping is that this will draw our community together, in addition to being a fundraiser, but it will draw our community together and become an annual event.
When is this and when do you have it in mind?
June 7th.
15,000 is the hope, right, Mary, for the fundraising?
Yes, if we can get everything donated, but of course, I'm very optimistic. I would like to say we could earn 20,000 between the silent auction and the 50-50.
Give me a call when sometime in the next few days, I got something for your silent auction.
Okay. Gladly. But so far, we've got a quote from Mary Lee. Got a quote from Mary Lee. We've got Josh Ferguson is going to give lessons for sailing. We've got a Peter Huntoon print. So, they're coming in. And we really haven't worked on it too long. But
Any thoughts of, me and the alcohol and the school and all that? I'm not really in favor of that. Any thoughts of limiting the ticket to 2 drinks each person? I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. If somebody's got $100 to spend on a ticket, they're not going to come in there and drink a 12-pack. But any thoughts along that lines of like, if you got ticket 101, you get 2 beers.
well, we're not giving it away.
No, I know you're selling it.
Right.
I understand
It's
that.
going to be a licensed,
I just don't know why you think you have to have alcohol. That I have a problem with that. So do you think you could limit it to so many drinks for each person?
we hadn't considered it. I mean, this is the first time anyone's brought that up. I mean, we hadn't even given it too much thought because there's a lot of process in just getting this far. We had to find a vendor first. So we found that and then we're here. So hadn't gotten that far, Bob, but.
It was somebody's idea to bring alcohol into this, Mary. So don't say it's,
I'm not,
I kind of heard you just say it's the first time it's ever happened.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
But you
this
just did.
this is the first time that anyone has considered, brought up that we could limit.
Has anybody else done these fundraisers and involved alcohol and a dinner?
Yes.
You can speak to that.
West Rutland Fire does this same type thing every year.
And they serve alcohol and everything.
They have it at the Legion, they have theirs at the.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
And the Rutland Rotary doesn't, I gave you an example that that there are some where you get the ticket and it's open bar, and that was Rutland Rotary. We're not doing that. It is not open bar. It does not come with the ticket.
Those places you're talking about have bars, the Eagles clubs and the Legions, they have them.
They have it at the Spartan Arena is where they have the Rutland.
Well, I'm against alcohol up to the college too. I've always been against that. So, but I just want to let you know where I'm coming from. I want an explanation on the alcohol
And
thing.
if we, as a board, grant an exception for alcohol to be present at this event, we can also put a condition on it if we so desire.
but really it hadn't crossed my mind because we've got a lot, knowing that we've had one meeting and all that we've come up with, and we're trying to drop the tickets. Trying to come up with the posters.
I'm gonna guess that somebody's probably not gonna go to this under the impression that they're showing up just to get tanked.
No, that's what I did say that, Rob, but I mean, I'm a beer drinker too. I like a beer every now and then too. Don't get me wrong that I'm something against alcohol, you know. I just want to know what kind of control you're gonna have.
Thinking it's gonna be a very social event and only adults. This is an adult event. That's right on the tickets. Gotta be 21 or older. Alcohol or no alcohol, this is gonna be an adult event. This is a date night, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many 15-year-olds are gonna come in with $100 to spend the ticket. So,
Oh, but
you know, I'm not trying to be as,
No, it's a valid concern. I thought about the same thing.
yeah, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just
No.
honestly had not considered.
All right, we're gonna move on.
that's fine. I just wanted to bring up that point.
Go ahead, Ray.
Quick question, make sure that you check out, when you're talking about alcohol, you check out your town insurance for a rider.
Oh, I'll definitely make sure that we're gonna cover that base.
I think this is a great idea. Appreciate all the work you guys are putting into this.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a highlight of the town events. And I really hope it's gonna be something that will be an annual event that people will look forward to. And
You know, about keg stands.
Let's move on. So let's move on.
I did talk to Andy and John Alexander. We've already started working the angle with, what the league requires and insurance and all that stuff. So we're already working on that.
Yeah, just make sure we're covered. It'll be good.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about rec center room rates. So we got a document last meeting that had been proposed of $75 an hour for the gym and $25 an hour for the classrooms and $35 for the home ec room. Is that correct? Is there any changes to that you would like to suggest?
No, I did, the only thing that I said last meeting, is $75 per hour is above some and below others. So we're kind of somewhere in the neighborhood, but, some of the like places like Middlebury and stuff, they don't charge as much as we do, but other places charge more. So, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. I don't have an opinion on it. Just want to be able to establish, one of the things that needs to be clearly established in there too is renting it by the hour, by the day. I mean, there's a difference. If someone wants to rent it for 8 hours in a day, versus somebody wants to rent it for 2 hours. Because part of the agreement here talks about cleanup time. You know, you get some time ahead to set up an hour and you get an hour afterwards. So that comes into our play of ours is like, you know, if they rent it for 2 hours, they're really getting it for 4 hours. So it limits how many people, how much time people can use it in a day. But what you saw was by the hour. There were some mistakes in there, but it's by the hour. And then like a discretion would be somebody wants to use it for, say the university wants to use it, like Ted Shipley for the basketball, and they use it for multiple days. We're going to charge them $75 an hour all day long? No, right? So there's some discretion there on some language crafted that we have discretion depending on the duration of because if nobody else can rent it for that day and they rent it for 8 hours, 5 hours or whatever, and they get an hour before, an hour after, nobody's gonna probably rent it from 9
Yeah,
o'clock.
so I'm not sure about the hour before and the hour after. I think you rent it for the time that you're there, and you need to factor in your setup time and your cleanup time in the time that you rent it for.
It's not typical, I can tell you that. That's usually, and that's why even the model one has it in there. And I've been in other facilities where there is a period that you say, you rent it for 2 hours, we'll give you some time to set up and a time to go after. So, but But it's up to you guys what you want to do. I'm saying
I
it's
would do
not,
it by the hour and say you get every fourth hour free. So if you rent it 8, 9, 10, get to 11 for free.
however you want to do it. I can speak on my own personal experience, so.
And make that universal for all the rooms and the gym.
I think that's a good starting place, and every rule has its exception. So, yeah, what if someone comes in and says, well, I want it for 2 days? You know, you could increase that discount a little bit. You know, we've talked that we would like to see, as a starting place, we'd like to see that building generate $1,000 a week. Kind of an off the cuff place to start. $130 a day, is that right?
Who are you asking, Mark?
They're all asking Andy. I thought he'd have the answer, but he felt.
I knew I should have paid you today.
You know, so
No, you're good.
if we come up with a day that we rent it for 3 hours, you know, we're kind of ahead on that day. Of course, the next day it might sit empty. So, yeah, we have to strike that balance between, I think it's a great deal, you know, kids want to have a kids basketball party for 2 hours for $150, that's a deal.
We can let you use the bathroom for that.
We just get them coin operated stall doors that you gotta put money in to get into them.
She knows them.
I think it's a good place to start. What does the Friends of Rec think? Does that seem reasonable?
I mean, I'm a little worried about like our organization getting in the way of the finance piece of it, you know?
Well, you guys have recreation experience, so
Yeah.
just saying, do you think that that's a reasonable amount to charge for a gymnasium? Or a classroom? I had someone call me today, a woman that wants to do dance classes there. She's renting the Legion right now and she wants to do it there.
I agree with Rob that an hour on each end seems excessive. For clean up and pick up, maybe a half hour, but you know, that seems like a lot that you're limiting what you can rent.
Let's start with it where it's at. Let's call it $75 an hour, 25 for the classroom. How much for the home ec?
35.
And revisit in 6 months.
Well, it's a good place to start, and it doesn't mean we can't revisit it in 90 days if we so decide, you know, once we gain some experience. We have no experience.
Yeah.
You know,
I haven't marketed it.
I'd say marketing's a bit.
somebody said somewhere along the line, we're flying this plane as, we're building this plane as we fly it. So,
Yeah.
that
think
doesn't
if-
mean that we can't revisit this in a month or
So are
a
we
year.
making this decision right now?
I would make a motion that we keep the rates as proposed, $75 an hour for the gym, $25 an hour for the classroom, and $35 an hour for the home ec room.
How about the library? Is that considered a classroom or what are you doing on that?
That one we put more money into, so I wouldn't say it'd be a $25, probably should at least be a 30, because now they can plug into the TV and you know, if they want to have a meeting in there, they can have it, and audio visual stuff's in there.
We'll call the library 35. And I think that the policy needs to be fluid. You know, I told you I had a call from a
Well,
really
are you
delightful.
done your motion? We need a second on the motion.
I'll second it.
Well,
So
we
now
gotta
we can
decide
discuss
too, ahead of time, how much time are they getting ahead of time? For each room, half hour, an hour? I'm still a fan of you get the time that you.
That's what I think. That's what I'm proposing. And then,
No time at the beginning and no time in the end.
Because all your cruises, man.
I think.
You rent it for 4 hours, you run it for 4 hours. If I buy a rental car for a day, I don't get half the day ahead of time to go in there and jazz it up and
I'm not arguing.
put Christmas tree things, and then I don't get a half a day at the end to sit there and look at it. I mean,
You know, rent a car, Rob.
well, it's the same
Could
thing.
leave The rec director with a little discretion. So let's say Rob wants to rent the gym from 9 to 12. John could say, listen, if you want to come in at 8, nobody's using the gym from 8 to 9. So if you want it, you're renting it for 3 hours, you can come in and do that, but you got to be done at noon.
You gotta be cleaned up at noon.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them my buddies show up at 8:05. We're starting at 8 instead of 9 now, and I'm getting a free hour.
That's right.
That's just me.
And I think we can.
You're bad for business.
We want to
I
market,
want to get my money's worth.
we want to market the building, and in 6 months, if we go, holy cow, this thing is book solid.
Then we can
Maybe
adjust
we
from
can
there.
tighten it up a little bit.
So
But right
I think
now,
at
we
this-
want to get people in there.
I think at this point, we've discussed it enough. I'm gonna cease discussion and call the question. All in favor of Mark's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And we can revisit it anytime we need to readjust.
We should get it up on the town website
We need some experience though.
and have John put a poster up. If he could find someone that writes neater than he does, to make a poster to put up in the hallway. Somebody like Mary McIntyre.
You don't want me doing it.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, we were calculating back here.
We made a motion, it was approved that Mary McIntyre would make a poster to put up in the rec center that rooms available for rent.
I'd like to take care of that. I got a perfect person that can do it. Perfect.
We're gonna move on.
And that, yeah, I will do that.
We're moving on.
And front porch forum and stuff.
We're moving on. Department of Liquor Control approvals. Rob, if you would do the honors.
I would make a motion to approve a second-class liquor license for the Midway Oil Corporation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would make a motion for Midway Oil Corporation for a tobacco substitute endorsement.
I'll second that too for discussion.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Discuss.
Like always, I'm gonna just reiterate that tobacco products killed 500,000 Americans last year. And I will not vote for tobacco licenses in town. I'm just gonna abstain.
What is the word substitute? What is that?
That's a vaping. That's vaping, isn't it?
Is that what that means? I don't know. I'm asking.
Nedra, can you clarify to the select board what a tobacco substitute endorsement is?
You're not hearing anybody. That's muted.
Nedra, you there?
She's still muted according to that.
That's my understanding. I'm not sure if the thing explains it.
It just covers vaping. Is that what
Vaping stuff, yeah. And, it's all that stuff that these stores now have up front by the counter.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I need.
Yeah. Tobacco substitutes or tobacco paraphernalia,
Okay.
vaping products.
Mark's abstained from the vote.
Abstain.
The rest of us haven't voted no.
No, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would make a motion to approve Midway Oil Corporation for a tobacco license.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
I would make a motion to approve Token Glass Shop CKA for a tobacco license.
I also second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, now we'll talk about the Vermont Alert System for Emergency Notification of Use of Gasoline. Has, anyone else, put the BT alert notices on their phones or in the email?
I did watch that video.
I did once, but I haven't since.
That's a good thing.
It's we push it, it's on our website. It's a great tool for me to use, like when there's the murder of Honore Fleming. That I sat at my table and just kept pumping out messages as fast as I was getting them. I put them back out to try to keep the public aware of what was going on. We do weather events, everything else. And so it's not just VT Alert that can send them out. Our team can send them out too.
So it's a handy tool for you.
Oh, and if it's a real big event, then I can ask Vermont Emergency Management to send out a ping. It hits everybody that's within a cell phone, like Amber Alerts. You see those sometimes that come out. So it's a great tool for us, and it's usually for emergency. It's, I can't say there's a meeting tonight.
The most recent one was when we had the gas fill at the convenience store down the road here and we had to shut down their roads.
So but it's, so the town had adopted this years and years ago. It's old language. So I just, I talked to VEM and said, well, we'll get it back before the select board to approve. And my recommendation is to approve the letter, not the form. This is what they sent me and said, you can use this or you can use a letter. So
I want us to approve this letter here.
yeah, the letter would be better because if people's name could change and then every time I got to change something around,
Gotta come back to those.
just do the letter.
I've got one question. It's on the form, not on the letter.
Yep.
It's the town officials who will be able to send alerts. I know Cindy L is a volunteer at the fire department, but she's not really a town official.
She's been appointed, she's the public affairs officer.
Okay.
Her and I went to training in Massachusetts to know how to do public affairs messaging and stuff like that. So but again, names aside, if you did the letter, then we don't have to worry about changing forms around.
I would make a motion to approve the letter for the Vermont Emergency Management Team to be signed by Dick Coombs, stating that we voted unanimously to adopt the use of the Vermont Alert System.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
After he
Thank
said
you.
unanimously.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't want to give you the
we can
chance.
we can always edit the letter.
I was gonna say, who doesn't want to be able to notify people that?
You need me to sign this form too, Mike, or?
Yes, was there anything in the folder, the blue folder? No, you're looking at, okay, yeah,
Oh,
okay, yeah, if you just sign, just the letter needs to be signed.
I just signed the letter. Okay.
If you get a minute to watch that video, it is pretty interesting. It's really well done.
Yeah. I actually watched all 48 minutes of it without walking, sitting up. I didn't go do something else.
Annual
A
financial
little
plan,
dry, but
It was dry, but it was informative.
annual financial plan,
So this is obviously an annual thing, but just by the name of it. And this is like the math that, what you have one in there with numbers in it?
Yeah. From here, is that what you're looking at? Pardon, Mike?
Yeah.
With dollar amounts?
Yeah, that doesn't look like the right form, guys. I'm sorry. It's the bottom part's not filled out.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was gonna ask you about that.
Son of a beeswax. Well, how about if I put it on next meeting?
How about we do that?
Because the bottom, there's numbers for the bottom one. I don't know where.
yeah, it seems like that would probably be a fairly hefty one, the bottom one.
Yeah, it is because it's out of our budget.
Your
Yeah,
assistant's been slacking this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it, because I looked at the bottom numbers, and this is not what's in the pack. So I apologize again. That DM administrative assistant just
Better go chew that person out.
but I'll bring it back to next meeting.
Okay, greater tire replacement.
Those are in there, the quotes. I'm recommending that the first one, it says what we are currently running. Evan provided these, it's from Pete's Tire Barn, which is state contract. We didn't get other quotes, because we keep doing that, and then the guy in the back of the room over there will probably attest to it. We got vendors now, they're saying, why are you calling me? You never buy anything from us. And we do it because we have a 3-bid quote, but Pete's Tire Barn has come in the least expensive, not saying not the cheapest, the least expensive. And they also do work that a lot of places can't with changing of the tires. And so I would say they've been a real good partner with the town. And instead of buying the real expensive tires, if we're going to trade this grader in, I think 2033, I think it was. Again, that was just on paper, but we're running the tire now, and they've been on there quite a while. I don't see this in 3 years, the tires are going to wear off.
I don't believe so.
Keith, how long have those tires been on it?
About 5 or 6. Yeah. So if you buy a good set and they last 6 years, or you buy the cheaper set that lasts, or least expensive ones that last 3 years, you're still replacing the set in 6 years again. It's a second set. but you're replacing a set of tires that at 6 years are worn out. I'd rather buy a set of three, or I mean, a set in 3 years, or they last 3 years, and then in 3 years, we'll buy another set. Cause we don't have to buy all of them. Who knows? I don't know.
And do we get like a hazard coverage on these or no?
I'm not sure what's on Pete's, for grader tires. Means there's some of the truck tires and stuff have stuff, but I'm not sure about grader tires.
Cause I mean, if we do, for whatever reason, if we happen to cut one and it needs to be replaced, then
I don't see anything on it.
Well, that's why I said to,
obviously it would be cheaper to do the cheaper tire.
yeah, that's what I was telling, the mechanic, cause we put the tires on the tractor. And I'm like, we've hit those things with the mower deck. I'm like, you buy this really expensive tire and we have a history of cutting those tires, just buy the cheaper ones.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What's your experience, Mark? Cause you run them down all over, like, will you speak to this?
We foam fill them and it's $5,000 a tire.
And you think that's the way to go?
Well, they're running over stuff down.
Well,
Never
yeah.
go flat.
Yeah.
You know, that's the benefit, but I don't think it's necessary on this machine.
No.
We're not running the grader in the salvage yard.
Yeah.
You know, that's gotta be tough on tires, that environment.
I think, did we foam fill the ones up at the transfer station?
Never got them done.
Never got, okay. We were gonna do that
About it for 10 years, but it's never.
Is it necessary, Heath?
up there, cause they drive over nails and all that.
Now pushing a brush pile.
Oh, yeah.
If you get a flat of weed, you know, it really adds up in downtime. So, but it's $20,000 to get a loader done.
Yeah.
We're
We're hopefully gonna either get a different one or something, refurb it or something, who knows?
I think we need to either do something here or not.
if you get 5 years out of it, I'd say let's go with it.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the double coin Rem 2 tires from, what is it, Pete's Tire Barn for the total of $3,964.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. So I apologize, I was writing. So Rob made the motion, who
I
seconded?
seconded it.
Thank you.
Mike, you're up.
A brief report. I'll still brief that. I'll say, did anybody have any questions of what's on there?
Did we find anybody to do the work on the wood chipper?
They, as of Thursday of last week, or Friday, one of them, they were searching for another vendor. They were gonna call Avalanche and see, cause there was a wood chipper they were working on down there.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe they'll work on the wood chipper. So Evan was gonna reach out to them. I haven't heard whether they said yes or no.
Okay.
The only question, or the first question I have is salt and sand shed. Do we need to authorize you to hire someone to do the study for the stormwater?
If I gotta, but it's gonna be expensive enough that I'm gonna have to probably put a bid out.
Then you don't need an action on our part yet,
Not yet,
but.
but eventually I think that, so yes, eventually, yes. For the 3 acres of impervious, not really for the salt or shed itself, but for the mitigation of the stormwater across that 3 acres.
We need to keep moving on that if we want to get it built this year. So.
Well, I had conversations today with Bud Carpenter. So he sent me the plan so I can finish out the building permit for this town. I'm meeting Ben, his excavator operator tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock up there to go. We've already done it once, but we're gonna go back up and say, yes, this is where it's gonna go. This is what we need to do to prep the ground for it. And he'll give us a number if we had to contract it out and what needs to get done. I think I already know that from our first meeting, but I talked to Jeff late this afternoon. He's gonna meet me there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and I'll be able to get back to Bud and say, okay, because if we hire him out, it's gonna not be somebody over $2,000, which is over my spending limit. So, but I want to talk to Jeff and say, I talked to Ben, it's like, is this something the town really can do? Because we have to take this. I talked to Jeff and said, how long is it going to take you to move the salt out of that shed and take the shed down? Because that's the first step. Because we got to get that one out of there.
we're gonna put the salt over in Ruby's.
And I told Jeff, I said, yeah, I know, I might hear some whining on it, but I'm like, if we have to load trucks out of Ruby's shed, and move the excavator or the loader over there to be able to get this work kept moving, that's what we're gonna do. If we have, I don't know how many storms we have left this winter, but we could have something,
Good, hopefully not.
but, I want to get, we gotta get the
How much
process.
salt's
moving.
left in there?
They move it, I don't know, I haven't been up there to look at it, but, I mean, there's not that much that goes in there. How many yards goes in there, tons?
60 will fit.
60?
So it won't take that long to move it.
No. No. That's like step one.
That's the only question I have.
Yeah, I did have
Needs to be-
one more, the Green Mountain Church of Christ.
Yeah.
That there, did we look into doing maybe a dry well there?
We did. And the structure that it was almost $1,700 for the structure that could be put in there on their property. But the issue is, it's not, the structure's like, that's pretty straightforward. It's just a sump, a dry well. But the property, the way that the pavement's torn up, I'm struggling, and I think we all have, it's like, how do you tie into that? The farther, you gotta go all the way back to the back of the building to find where pavement's not broken up. So how far do we want to pave back to get the water to pitch towards it? I'm like, is that really our problem?
I don't think it is.
I mean, you go back way out of the right of way and water's coming off the roof.
No, I wouldn't go back past out of the right of way, but
But if we go to the right of way, we're tying into all broken up crap and dirt. I almost recommend
that's,
they,
I mean, that's what they did on the sidewalk on mine. They tore it and they tied into broken up asphalt in my driveway, and that's just the way that it is.
If we've got to put a dry well in, I'd tell them we'll do it, but they've got to pay for the paving. I mean, it's their pavement and it's worn out.
I don't know. There's a part of me that says I'd like to be able to get an estimate and say, hey, if the select board agrees to it and we come up with a cost and say, we'll do the dry well, we can provide some gravel because we have that in our pit, but we'll give you the money and you fix it, and they sign off on it saying we walk away. Because if we do something wrong there, they're gonna come back to us and say, your shit didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Get a plan.
Right, it's
So
just
we'll
like with the tree out there.
We'll work with them on it a little bit, but then we're done.
Yeah, get a proposal together and
Water trouble.
we'll double check it, and if.
There's water trouble there before we ever put a sidewalk.
Yeah, so.
What's that?
There was water trouble there in Gilmore's or there in Smith's before we ever put a sidewalk in. Used to drive through a water puddle to go to either the old True Value or when it was Smith's back years ago.
The other issue is, once we do that, because the other side of that drive is broken up too, and puddle and waters, we might get, the owner of the property comes and say, you did it for them, you did sidewalk cause ours too. Just gonna be open, I'm just saying, be
I
prepared
don't
that,
think the True Value side was any worse now than it was before that sidewalk got put in.
I agree with you.
but anyway, I'll work on getting the cost
True
estimate
Value,
together and come back to you
the
with
auto
that.
parts side, I mean. I don't think the True Value side was much different than it is now, but that's only my opinion, and I haven't, it's been a while since that sidewalk got put in. So come up with a course, with your reasonable proposal, we'll tell them that we'll fund the job, but after that, we walk away.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the owner to meet with them and talk about it.
Is it worth me reaching out to Joe Smith and asking if there's a water problem there when he owned it?
If you think it'll change the course of their argument, they're saying no, so, I mean, they say no, we say yes.
I hope the past owners say, that's always been like that, way before the sidewalk.
I could ask Nancy Smith, I see her frequently. Her and her husband owned that store for a lot of years.
I'll leave that to you if you want to do the research, but
Before they
I'll just work on my part of it.
Everybody knows how I feel about that sidewalk, but I'll just say that, I walk to Smith's or O'Reilly's, whatever you want to call it, on a fairly regular basis, and there was a water problem before, but it's definitely increased now. So
You say it's 10% worse, 100% worse?
I would say probably 50% worse on a hard rain.
Which we're getting, these rainstorms that we're getting are so much more powerful than they have been.
Right. They come quick.
You know, to walk in there most of the time now, you have to go through either Mike Pelletier's yard or you gotta walk up and cut through the grass. You can't walk through the actual entrance. That's just my opinion and I'm biased, so I'm not afraid to admit that.
Anything changed on your property in the last 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah, I should have gone on about the sidewalk for a good solid hour with the woman. That probably would have.
That, she's been waiting. All right.
Whatever you have left, okay, no, that's fine.
We're done with that one. Purchase orders for approval. I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053830 to Florence Crushed Stone for the 3/4 inch stone for the sum of $7,742.90.
40 cents, I got it.
40 cents.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053831 to Overhead Door for the garage doors for the highway garage for 15,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is that the last remaining doors up there, Mike?
It is, and they actually replaced the panels on the other door too, so that it included that as well, so.
So we're done with
So now
garage doors.
We're done with the garage doors.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053460 to Trees Incorporated for roadside clearing on East Hubbardton Road for the sum of $9,240.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just so you're aware that that took over a year.
We don't want to rush into things, so would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053762 to A1 Sewer and Drain for emergency service on the Bombazine pipe break for the sum of $23,800.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053738 to Earl's Truck Repair for a heavy duty recovery of truck number 101 for the sum of $2,100.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Didn't we pay that at the last meeting?
That was a different one. This was up on, Belgo Road with a large, it wasn't the Dodge, this was a single axle. I think it was single axle. Yeah.
No more discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we're ready for warrants.
I'm ready for warrants.
You got the new sheet, Rob? I don't know what the difference is. but-
I do, yep.
Okay.
Thanks for saying something because I would have gone off the old one.
Yeah, there's one more warrant on the new one.
I would make a motion to approve warrant number 0324A for the sum of $1,216. Warrant number 0324R for the sum of $18,373.93. Warrant number 0321 for the sum of $48,234.14. Warrant number 0324 for the sum of $2,044,544.59. Warrant number 0324B for the sum of $11,190. Warrant number 0313P for the sum of $19,488.36. And warrant number 0320P for the sum of $19,564.
I'll second it.
Well, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm not sure he said the right amount on the first one.
$1,200.16.
I think he said $1,216.
I would correct it to warrant number 0324A for $1,200.16.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Copy down in the middle of Blissville corner. You know, the little guy out there with the sign.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's all back. I'd like to.
That's going back here. Won't last very long.
Going back? All right. Now you're gonna get me confused here.
Where's that?
Gotta go all the way
Oh,
over.
that's going that way.
Yeah. Now, house line of name here. Guess I can name it, not make you read for me.
Also in your packets, that wasn't on that list. This was for FY only, those two purchase orders from the village school, just so you know that that's what we spent down at the building.
Is that all of them, Mr. Combs?
I don't know what's going on. We got a weird rotation going here, but there's
Yeah.
those two blank.
I was trying to save time, give you guys something to do. The last time I went around this way, Roy tried to trip me.
Like that. I'll give myself an auction donation. What do you think?
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
How you doing, Roy?
I'll give him one of those.
That's what his deck's made out of.
No, the deck's actually just Western Red Cedar.
So you're donating to.
Was it cedar?
Western Red Cedar.
What did you call it? You sounded me.
I thought it was an exotic African wood.
Yeah, you
No.
said that like, oh my God, Mark.
It's a beautiful deck.
That's a $45,000 deck.
It is now.
They missed.
Yeah, you didn't pick up on that when he said that?
I heard him, but I didn't see any.
Oh, boy.
Liking anyone. You know.
Well, I saw it from not that I am good at identifying different grains of wood unless it's cherry, maple, or oak, but, yeah, it has beautiful grain.
It's a lot nicer looking than pressure treated, that's for sure.
You got the parting shot as he was leaving. I'll make sure I add that to your.
Yeah, well, I knew that was coming. Didn't surprise me at all.
Well, he already said he was gonna talk to him too.
Well, we're gonna have a brief discussion during action items. Decide what our path forward is gonna be.
Five back.
You got five? I have two. That makes seven most of the time. 2 + 5 = 7, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Wait, 0.
We are going to move on to select board comments. Mary Lee.
Well, I have one comment that it's stupid, I guess. I don't see why the Blissville people don't want a 4-way stop. That I think would slow the traffic in all ways. And
I
someone,
agree 100%.
and someone's not going to go flipping from River Street or anything else if it's a 4-way stop. I didn't understand when they said, most of them said no.
Right, the vast majority of the speed problems are people going north and south. You know, it is a very long stretch of road, and a 4-way stop would limit that.
I don't think a little sign saying,
And coming out,
this isn't 4-way or some, whatever it is they were talking about would do anything.
coming out of Rice Willis, if somebody's parked in that driveway on the right, or not out of Rice Willis, out of River Street, if somebody's parked on that driveway on the right, you really gotta creep out to see down that way.
And then the people that are coming from the south that cut that corner, they
Yeah.
can't see if there's a vehicle there or not. They come around that corner sometimes, and if I don't stop 10 feet back and then kind of start creeping out, I've almost gotten hit there.
You know, I think that
It's a bad spot because the telephone pole is right on the corner
The
too.
truck, it's,
When you have a big truck, you gotta go, you can't take that corner turn.
There are a few instances every year where people don't stop going east and west. But the vast majority of the problem is north-south traffic.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Four-way stop.
Well, it's a decision that this board can make if we want to put it on the agenda and have a discussion.
I would be interested to hear more as to why they don't want a four-way stop there, because it would make people slow down. So it's not a straight strip through there, and it would be safer.
And it might stop people from using it as a shortcut.
When I brought it up, probably almost 10 years ago, the board that was in place at the time didn't even want to entertain, didn't even want to have the conversation.
I don't think the answer was well thought out tonight. I would like to, that whole group has a Facebook group that they chat with each other. I would like to put that out to them and say, hey, give this a little bit of thought. I mean, the real problem is north-south. Maybe a four-way would be the answer there. I think if people thought about it, they'd go, yeah, it would be.
Because this isn't hurting them in any way.
Right. You know, there's a few repeat offenders. They talked about the Saltus kid on a motorcycle. He does in the summer. He's doing 100, 110 by my house. But, you know, he's coming from Polteny. If he had to stop there, it would be, he'd still be going too fast, but it would be half the speed of what he's going right now.
Is that the same one that goes by my house about 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer? And really,
Yep, black Harley with straight pipes, yeah.
no, this is a different, this is a smaller Yamaha type thing.
Oh,
Crotch rocket. He's probably doing 80 by my house.
oh, that's me.
Oh, that's- I know you still drive the Ducati, right?
But Pete's gonna have a traffic study done there too.
That's gotta be done.
So that gives you some basis, how, the amount of traffic and stuff like that. They put a speed thing in, you can tell how fast people are traveling up there.
Let's do two things, Mark. If you want to pose the question on that Facebook chat group, and then we'll get Pete to do the traffic study, and then we'll have a conversation, put it on the agenda though.
And I don't think anybody can say that, you know, any road in town is busier than it was 20 years ago. I mean, that's just a given
Well,
at this point in life.
Living on River Street, I can tell you, within a month after Rice Willis was paved, I noticed a difference.
Yeah,
So anything else, Mary Lee?
No, that's all I have.
Rob?
I'm good.
Mark?
Good.
Bob?
Yep, I got one thing. This is directed to you.
Of course it is.
Bad. Secretary at the FHUMS said that she sent out an email to all of us on March 12th, 2025.
Who?
The secretary at I don't want to use names. The secretary,
FHUMS?
yeah,
Milton Middle
Fairhaven Union Middle School.
Yep.
Sent out an email in regards to the coin drop, asking what she needs to do to get on the list and all that.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, you did? Because I didn't see it.
I don't
I
remember
saw it.
seeing anything
I saw
on
it.
the coin
Was that-
drop.
Nobody's gotten back to her.
I don't remember seeing it, so.
Okay, well,
Maybe she sent it to Karen, because Karen used to get all those requests.
she sent it to all of us, is what she
I
said.
know I saw it, and I haven't deleted it yet.
I told her, I said, you haven't had an assistant since March 7th.
Yeah, I'll look at that email.
He
there.
just doesn't want to miss the boat.
Yeah.
And that's coming up next month,
Are
right?
they on, they're not on the list that was.
No, they're not.
That's the March 12th.
It's the middle school.
Aaron Haley?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, said, hi, Mike. I'd like to see if I can get on the coin drop schedule for Fairhaven Union Middle School. What do I need to do for that? Looking ahead, I would love to be able to have a coin drop on Saturday, August 2nd, if that date is available.
So in April, when you guys do the coin drops, I'll bring it to because it has to be part of that normal. Well, if you agree, that normally in April, you go through the coin drop policy and the people they have a date, a certain time frame for their dates and bring it up at that point.
The two that were permanently approved were the Castleton Middle School and the, fire department, I believe, is that
Fire
correct?
department was one.
Oh, there is no more Castleton Middle School.
I was just, that's where I was going with
No, it
that.
was,
Isn't there one?
no, that was taken out because that was for
Not
their trip,
currently
eighth
here
grade
either.
trip.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
That was removed.
When we wrote the
Union Middle.
policy, we specifically approved those two
Yeah.
because they're home.
I'm really opposed to Quintrell, personally. I think that. What was the school budget that was just approved?
It hasn't been approved yet.
That was not approved? How much money was that?
2 million, is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that.
How many?
30 something million.
I feel like that's paid enough. I don't want to be shamed that I have to put $1 in a hat because I'm going to get milk. It's like, you want to stop and get out and go, we just, it was 32 million last year. When is enough enough?
Well, this isn't to fund the school, this is to fund a class trip.
Okay, didn't say that.
It's actually, yeah, well, it's not.
That's
just
what the
a
one
copy.
that was
Yeah.
permanently approved before was the eighth grade class trip to Washington or Montreal or wherever it was. And,
I've got one more. This is gonna throw you under the school bus.
Mike, you want me to forward this to you?
Yeah, would you please? Just so it's up the top of my email.
I didn't see it either.
It's all make March 12th.
March 12th. Yep. I saved you, but I told her you didn't have an assistant, so that's why I didn't get thinking. But she said that she said the same thing to the town manager in Fairhaven. He got back to her that day.
He's better.
Just had to say that.
He's better than her.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I had to make sure I said that to you.
or what else you got? Rick?
I think that's enough.
Okay, I'm all set. Action items. The only thing I've got is that Mark Brown is going to chair a subcommittee for the, review of the reappraisal.
I'd
What do you-
like to be part of that.
So Mark Brown and Mary Lee Harris are the subcommittee for the review of the reappraisal. So, if you want to have a conversation with me, Mark, we'll figure out tomorrow how you want to start that.
Okay.
And then, just keep the rest of the board in the loop. But we can't have 3 members present without it being a special meeting. So you and Mary Lee can drive the bus, and when you need the rest of us, let us know.
I hope that the rest of the board doesn't feel like I was overdoing it with him. I just can't believe that we're gonna go. Maybe you don't feel the way I feel. I feel like we got $50,000 worth of work for $275,000. And to go, well, that's the way it goes. We're on schedule. Let's keep going. I'm just not gonna do it.
Well, that's what everybody else does. It'll
Yeah.
be the same anywhere else. How come he was the only one we could get in a hurry?
If there was only a few people that had said, I didn't see him come, or, they didn't ask to go in the house or whatever, but it was more than a few.
I talked to 31 people and only 3 had satisfactory appraisals. And a lot of the people that said no are in this room. He's going, no, we knocked on every door. Well, you didn't.
In the significant
He may
increase.
have knocked on the doors, but all my friends work during the day.
Dick was home eating lunch.
Yeah, well, yeah,
They
that's an
didn't knock on
exception.
his door. They took a picture and drove away.
Dick works at home.
I'm not
Yeah.
sold on the fact that he's tried to say that the 400 homes that they did on the lake are close together. So they were faster to do and the other ones took longer when it took them a month to do 1,400 and a month to do 400.
Blissville Road, the homes are just as close as they are on the lake and they did the whole street in half a day.
Yeah, I don't,
Click, click, click.
They
So
did the
we're not gonna go through this all again right now.
well, I just think everybody's fired up about
Ask me to do this, I'm doing it. Okay, all right, so, that's our action item. So Mark, you're gonna be chairing a subcommittee.
Yep, we'll talk tomorrow.
With Mary Lee, and we'll come up with a course of action. Anything else for action items?
Are we gonna get back to the private road? Not that I want to, but
It's not on the agenda tonight.
no, that's not what I said. Are we gonna get back to it?
We're gonna have to.
Okay.
I think I wrote a message in here. It was, they just got to get Jeff back in to finish the,
Okay. All right.
Right,
Somebody's
Cedar
out.
Mountain's clearly a town road.
yeah, I mean, that one's kind of.
I went up and drove it and it is exactly 1.25 miles from the very end of the road to where it starts. There's the whole deal.
And action items,
So hold it, before we move on from that.
Yeah.
Heath, when you did the road inventory with the state person there few years ago?
Yep.
How far down Cedar Mountain Road did you go?
Right to the end.
Right to the end, okay. All right, now we'll move on.
Well,
I would say it's safe to say then if somebody's digging ditches in there or messing with the road at all, that a fine system can be implemented at this point. That we have solid ground to stand on that. One warning and then start fining.
Yeah, I think I think the marketing part of this or the public engagement is we've been telling people and they've been telling us, we've been telling people because we've been told is that that's private property. Now we got to get the word out there that no, it's not.
And we
And
have a right of way through there.
you know, yeah, we got to have some language out there so people know.
That's a
Get it out.
two-rod road, right?
33 feet.
It was a 2-rod road, I think.
Mhm.
That's 33 feet?
Yeah.
You better move those mailboxes.
In your mound system.
Some of them over the years.
Telephone poles.
He's been slowly working on that for us.
Backflow preventers during the sewer commission meeting.
Was it on the agenda?
We had paperwork in there
What's that?
on the backflow preventers. Where are we at with that?
I was waiting for you guys to finish the ordinance so that I could get it to the attorney to review. So nickel
I
and
got it
diamond.
torn. I saw it in my sewer commissioner's packet about
Not in this week, no.
just the minutes. Everybody saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta get back to that too. Okay.
To which?
The backflow
Ordinance.
preventers. Yeah.
So we need an executive session for personnel or contract. I guess it's contracts.
Yes.
And then we may or may not need other executive sessions, but we need one for contracts. If I could get a motion to do that, please.
I would make a motion to go into executive session at 9:29 for contracts with the select board and the town manager.
I'll second it.
Moving and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
I just noticed that he wasn't here.
Gotta
Slide your chair.
You're recording.
I would make a motion to come out of executive session at 10:05 with no action taken.
Second.
Moving and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mary Lee?
Motion adjourned.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye.